I wanted to talk about establishing bad patterns of use on your food plots. And like I've been trying to teach for years is that a food plot isn't very good if you're spooking deer off the food plot. Now you can establish bad patterns on a plot just because you have bad food. And so if you have bad food on your plots, that'll establish that pattern around your entire property. Deer won't go hit your food plots. They know that this is bad everywhere. But they do that not because they go in and taste and try it. They do it because they get a repetition and a pattern established of smelling, seeing, and tasting the same things in the same locations. And it establishes that negative use. We hear a lot of ag vehicles back in the background. It's a big day today. People trying to get some things in, the local farmers, before some rain tonight. But those bad patterns can kill you. And one of the things I want to discuss, and this is what I see a lot of, and something that I think is important for you to understand, is deer, the sense of smell that they have is incredible. We talk about often, we go by a bread bakery, we smell bread. They go by a bread bakery, they smell the ingredients, and they can smell which one's stronger than the other. So really, really different type of nose than we have. So when they go into a food plot system, food plots you have on your own land, I believe that it's so important that you do not establish a negative imprint by the smell of the plots on your land. What I mean by that is if you have the same level of diversity and planting in all areas, in this case we're going to have half green back here, green blend. We're going to have half brassica, and then we have the corn behind me. We have the surrounded and switch. So you have a lot of common smells through all our food plots. The only thing we don't have is we don't have corn on every plot because they're not big enough. I like to have corn when you have a couple acres, so then we're establishing 1.25 acres of corn and then greens of 3/4 of an acre. But we're getting about 60% corn, but we want to at least have 1 acre. So that means our 1.5 acre plots or 1.25 acres we don't have corn on for the most part. That being said, imagine the deer that are in this area. This is the only blend like this in the area. We're going to have our only type of blend of greens on one side. We're going to have our only type of brassica blend. In fact, we favor heavy planting of tillage radish. All those greens smell different to deer. They do, very much so. The corn, the greens, the brassica combination, put it all together, it's a unique smell and an imprint only that relates to our land. That means if we don't spook the deer on our food plots, and they're used to coming in here and feeding safely, then a buck that transfers from this plot to another gets used to that, knows that this is safe. It lowers stress level just by scent. And there's no study to that, but it makes sense that that would be the same, that would be an imprint. I mean, obviously, by sight, if deer are out here and they're continually seeing hunters.
Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. Don't go away. We have a really exciting announcement. I'm finally able to bring to you WHS Wildlife Blends. It's been in the works for a while, but we're offering a couple of blends right off the bat, just my favorite private blends in a brassica blend, Big Blue Brassica, and Fall Green blend. Both have the ability to build your soil, at the same time help you with weeds, and they're highly attractive. They're what I personally use. So after designing food plot programs for over 1,200 clients in the country, after writing about food plots, speaking about food plots, and of course, hundreds of videos on how to create food plots that best fit your needs, we're finally able to bring this to you. There are no coatings in these seed mixes, no sugar beets or other types of seed varieties that really don't mix, that have different maturity dates. These are made to actually be planted together. No ryegrass, we don't add any of that garbage to the mix. And then also no dwarf Essex rape. That's a smaller rape variety that's really cheap. We don't add that to the mix either, just to cheapen down the mix for us. And then finally, no bad mixes of cereal grain and brassica. So we're really excited about this. Again, these are my own personal mixes. I can't wait for you to try them out. It's a limited run this year. Shipping will be towards the end of July. Look forward to it on our website. The link is in the description. Thank you guys for watching. Now back to the video.
Then they're going to not come out here anymore. In fact, it only takes once or twice, and they're going to have that negative imprint for 3 or 4 weeks, especially a mature buck. They're just not going to come out. So if, to most of you, that's the rest of the season. Because by the time they would be coming out, maybe that food's gone, maybe they change, maybe you get a heavy winter, maybe the seasons are changing, their bedding areas have been spooked out, they're just not coming back. Or it gets through the rut, through gun season. It puts them into a time frame where you're normally not hunting, but bottom line is they see you, they're gone. Guess what, with hunters? Same thing. They smell you, they're gone on a certain plot. So that's where you can start to imagine if they're getting a positive imprint with the type of food plot blend that you have out here, and that's consistent around your property. You can lower stress level around your property. No different than them coming out here and simply not smelling a human. Same with not seeing a human in these locations. It's the exact same thing. And I don't think there's any difference with taste. You know, it's pretty interesting. They've done studies out in like the Milk River area, big giant alfalfa fields. And the does and fawns, which rule the roost, the does do, they'll go feed in a certain area on the land every single time. Every time they're out there, they're feeding in a certain location. Bucks are off to the side. They'll do a study. There's better nutrition where the does are. They take over that area, the bucks are off to the side. Does always rule the roost. The bucks get to play around here in the rut for 10 days, 14 days, another 7 days here or there, but that's about it. They really don't rule the roost. But simply by taste, they're going into an area and possibly smell that combination of them both. They know where to go in a given field that has the most nutrients. Now, maybe they do it by taste, it just tastes good. Maybe there's more volume, maybe there's more moisture, but bottom line is they know one area from the other. And again, that's no different with your plots. Plots are super risky on your land. For example, we have a big, beautiful plot here. In fact, behind Dylan right here, we had a giant log pile. It was a big eyesore for one. At the same time, it blocked our view from a redneck we have behind a hedgerow over there, behind the switchgrass, behind the corn. Great hidden redneck that we were out here all the time, and there's certain portions we couldn't see out here. It was a great place to hunt. We enjoyed hunting out here, but we had these logs cleared out all the way to the back, and we've tried to get as much volume of this food plot as we can. So this plot location right here, you know, we cleaned it up. It looks beautiful. We're getting the most volume out of here. We're getting the most food that we can in here. We're gonna have an appreciable amount of food. All the way until February, March, we'll have deer out here. We have throughout the years. It doesn't make any difference though, because if we come in here and spook the deer and we establish this risk level on this plot, this food plot that we call the hermit plot, it's going to have a negative imprint, not only on the plot, but if deer aren't coming to this plot during the daylight, they're not bedding in these great bedding areas that surround here. We've chainsawed bedding areas here. We've chainsawed bedding areas off the point and down low. We have a water hole over here where I shot one last year, a really nice buck, and that's about 60, 70 yards over that way. We have a stand location back here. We have a stand location on the bottom about 400 yards away with another water hole with a backdoor entrance to it behind the bedding area. All those stands are gone. All those bedding areas are gone. Mature bucks aren't going to stay here if we get a negative imprint on this, whether it's taste, smell, or sight. Then if we have a negative imprint here and we have this combination of food, guess what? When they go to a food plot over there, in my opinion, what I would see is if they have a negative imprint with this combination of taste and smell, they're gonna have a negative imprint on the same food plot over there. That's where the risk comes into food plots. That's where you cannot afford to establish negative patterns of use by the local deer herd. The most affected are mature bucks. Don't let anyone ever tell you that with a doe family group, a doe is wiser, older, she's gonna make better decisions. In fact, it's the opposite. Does think in herd mentality. They think and act as a group. They actually have a fraction of a home range of a mature buck. They're more homebodies. They're more tolerant of hunting stress and pressure. They'll move. A lot of times if they were bedding over here, they just simply move over here. They go to the next food plot down the line. Mature buck is gone, and he's probably gone for the rest of the season. And that's why you can't afford to establish negative imprints on your land. But the cool thing is, and again, those all work in harmony with each other in combination to hurt you. But the really cool thing is you can turn it all around. As much as you can make a negative imprint by smell, by taste, by sight, you can flip it to the exact opposite by having a great, diverse, high volume blend that the deer enjoy, the deer feel safe at, where the stress level goes down. And it's very, very easy to set yourself apart from every other food plot in the neighborhood, because most people, most landowners, most hunters that plant food plots pressure their food plots, overhunt their food plots. And by having your specific combination of what you plant on your land that's probably different than your neighbors, then you can establish and reinforce a positive imprint that has a lasting effect, not only on the food plot, not only on the daylight use of the plot, but certainly the bedding areas around, your morning stands backed by bedding, your evening stands that relate to food source movement. And that's how you build an entire property. You do it by positive or negative imprinting. You can destroy a property overnight, literally, with negative imprinting, but you can build a property and have the best deer herd in the area for decades to come. And the cool thing is, if your neighbor does the same thing, don't worry about it. They're developing a really positive herd condition on their land. You're doing the same here, and together you actually build something bigger than just your property alone or theirs. You're building the neighborhood at that point. So I always look at it like if neighbors are doing the same thing, you want that, because they're going to build a great deer herd there, you're going to build a great deer herd here, and it's amazing how little overlap there is. I have a neighbor, it's about a half mile away from here. We overlap bucks by 10-15%. We still see some of the same bucks. They get a few more summertime, but during the fall, we get certain bucks over here, they're getting bucks over there. And it's crazy how you can have mature bucks that supposedly have a giant home range, and the older they get, the more confined they get to 1 or 2 smaller parcels during the daylight, during the hunting season. And there's very little overlap. That's a really cool thing, because then if they have mature bucks over there to the established territory, a lot of these bucks don't like really mixing it up. They're not that aggressive except for the rut. In fact, they're so passive, they let the whole doe family group dictate where they feed in an open alpha field. So think about that. They can have a positive herd structure. You can too over here. It's all about establishing those positive patterns instead of those bad patterns. This is something that doesn't take years to develop. It literally can develop. We're shooting this the end of June right now. There's still plenty of time. You still have 2 or 3 months to really establish a positive game plan on your property and build a herd and hunt that you've never experienced just going into this season. And that's why I make these videos. If you're wondering, a lot of people have asked hats for a very long time. We used to sell them a long time ago. People that purchase our web classes get hats, but we have a couple designs that we'll have on our website that's coming out soon. And I want you guys keep looking for that. They will be out. They're on order. We'll get them in a couple weeks. So can't wait for you to purchase those if you want a hat. If you don't want one, no big deal. We'll still keep putting out videos for you, and you can enjoy them for free on YouTube. But I encourage you to check out those, check out our books, our web classes. And of course, we have the ability to design your parcel anywhere in the country. We have Dylan that's filming right now. He's been to a lot of properties, huge amount of experience. You have Kevin Smith over in Pennsylvania, Ohio, Joe Youngblood over in Michigan, portions of Wisconsin. And those two fly anywhere, and so does Dylan. I think Dylan, at the beginning of this year, you and I talked, and I'd been to 26 states since '05. And you're overlapping with a lot of the states I've gone to, but then you were going to add another maybe 6 states this year. So in total,
I can't remember the total tally, but I'm getting up there. I'm chasing you down. I'm going to get to as many states as you have these years.
I think the cool thing is combined, we've probably been, I think it was 31 or 32 states that we've worked into. And then I know that Joe Youngblood and Kevin have already been to a bunch of states flying to clients this year, and they've had a very full schedule. So bottom line is, if you don't hire us, you don't buy a web class, a book, or a hat, or anything else that we have, we're going to try to keep putting out the best free content on the internet for whitetail strategy, whether it's hunting, food plots, and beyond. We just want to make sure you have a great hunt this fall, and I hope you're on the right track. There's still time. It can be done right now, this year, even with a couple months left before most deer seasons even begin. Folks, I want to make sure you check out my web class video series, whether it's how to design your food plot program or how to design your property in general. And we have a new one coming out that'll be how to hunt the rut. But these bucks back here are a testament. Some of these bucks go back to '93. They're even in different states. I urge you to check out those web classes that you can help yourself, help your land, help your hunt. The link is in the description. And also for those that have tried them out, I encourage you to offer some feedback in the comments below. Thank you.